Welcome back. Today I'm going to be working on a PVB 15 pump. Got two of them here actually. This one turned and made a little bit of rattling noise. This one is not turning at all. I'm going to rebuild one of them. Got a little bit of wear in the plate here. See if I can get a flashlight for you. And then you should be able to see that. And then when I took it apart, here is the rotating assembly, which is not supposed to be missing all the caps. And those were the parts that were rolling around in there, part of the caps. So that is an assembly that should look a lot better. So I'm going to take this one apart too and see why it is not spinning. And then just kind of rebuild the best one. I think both of them will be rebuildable, but right now I just want to get the best one put back together. Spin this guy around. Fun. There we go. Like I said, don't know what's wrong with this one yet. Pop this out of here. I don't know. I got the general idea of these. Haven't torn enough of them apart to really know everything there is to know, that's for sure. Gasket. That allows me to get to these bolts. Four bolts hold the head on. Gasket. And same thing, there's definitely water in here, but this end feels pretty good too. So far not so terrible. This one spins. Maybe it was just a little stuck, but a little bit of slight rust here. Slight rust here where it rubs on the plate, which this is your rotating assembly, and I imagine it's going to look a lot better than the one I showed you next to it. So this should lift out. Spin, spin. Well, I'd rather it lift out with everything in it, but kind of looks like a, never mind. But anyway, like an old revolver is what I was trying to think of the best way to say that. So pull this out. I'm not worried about this, but this is how it comes apart. So these would all be down in here. So this is basically hydrostatic pump, like in your lawnmowers or combines, just different sizes and whatnot. And they ride on a plate down there, and then as this plate pivots, it's kind of like accelerating and decelerating. Of course, these go down in here. There we go. All assembled, rotates, pivots, and these little pistons are moving in and out, and that changes the fluid flow and pressure. So that they call, I'm pretty sure they call that the rotating assembly. And down in here we have a wear plate. Get this gasket off. Look at that, all that water. This thing's been sitting somewhere. Oh, do we got a... Yeah, I'm guessing she was stuck from a little bit of rust. So the two pumps here have different style rotating groups, I noticed. See, the heads are slightly different. And the plate that this rides on is flat, or that one I think is slightly concave, yeah, dished a little, which we're going to look at what we got to replace all this. So looking down in here, a lot of water mixed with some hydraulic fluid. So we're going to have a seal here. We got this kind of like, this is your, I think they call that the swash plate. And as that thing pivots, it's kind of like I said, increasing the flow or the pressure, and or both. Again, I haven't been through very many of these, so we're kind of all doing it together. There's people that do these every day, a lot faster. Let's look here. Yeah, so this doesn't look terrible. This one was probably, if it was all cleaned up, is usable, but I'm not going to take this apart and not go back together without new parts. Or this one could probably work, or that one was not going to work. All broken parts. Alright, so then we do have a spring down here, and then this is just pivots. There's going to be seals here, but that's kind of like your pivot for the throwout, kind of like a throwout bearing, so it just needs to pivot there. So we're going to get we'll get that depressed and get these loosened up. See what I need here. Okay, those are threaded. So you pull these out. There's probably maybe an O-ring in there, and then use a puller on this, looks like. And the one on the other side, very similar design. So I need to loosen these bolts down in here. And then I will not taking those out. I'm just loosening them up. Let me clean up these holes on the side of these plugs, and we'll see if we can't get those taken out. Alrighty, so I took 1/4 tap, clean those up, and then if you just keep these bolts tight, that allows you to use your tap without the plug spinning on you. So I'm going to thread this in here. Grab a little wrench. Just to make sure it's all the way in. And then it's nice to tap the hole beforehand, so that way it doesn't, it's not too difficult to get out. And I'm going to try, I just made this little slide hammer a long time ago. A pair of vice grips. I don't think this is going to be in there that tight. And of course, make sure you I was going to say re-loosen, but take it back loose. I think I'm done with this. Sure feels like it's hitting solid. Yeah, so you know what? I bet you we take these bolts all the way out. So go ahead and take those all the way out. Probably has a little slot in that, be my guess. Oh yeah. Okay, so now we can see there's an O-ring there, like we suspected. So you want to take these all the way out. I'm going to leave that in there for a second, but I'll take the bolt out and move to the other side. Trusty vice grips puller. Alright. Same thing. O-ring with a little bit of water. So now, like I said, we have some spring pressure on it. I just want to see. It doesn't look like there's any way to relieve the pressure. So you're going to end up putting it in, looks like, with somewhat pressure on it. It's probably not a ton. Alright, so I just pulled that one out by hand, and yes, there is a slot there that the bolt will go down, and looks like here you'd want to make sure this is all smooth. No big issue there. And then of course we got new O-rings. Keep that one off to the right. This one might be a little tougher. There we go. This one's a little darker and nasty, but she'll clean up. And like I said, I believe the sole purpose here is just pivoting, and then you want to make sure that we change the O-rings. I'm gonna always keep the spring and the fitting it to the top, so left and right, whether that matters, I'll keep them separate. So now this should lift up. There's where that spring rides, and then here is the plate, which this one actually spins where that one was worn through some. So this plate actually looks really good. Like I said, I believe this pump was probably working. So this needs to come out of there. It's got that natural suction from fluid in between there. So I will have to knock that out. Okay. So looking in here the rest of the way, there's the spring with a little plunger. We're going to get all this cleaned up in the parts washer. A little bit of rust, you want to get all that out of there, because hydrostatic system, when this thing goes, it just spreads that metal and debris through everything that it's plumbed into. Shaft, nothing catches my fingernails, looks alright. And then on this end we have snap ring, because we'll change this bearing. So let me get some snap ring pliers. Alright, got some snap ring pliers here. Pull this one out from around the center. And then we'll take this large one out here. Might have to get a bigger pair. We can do that though. There we go. If I had to guess, it all comes out this way. Only going to be able to go so far. Okay, looks like there's a little plate here. Snap on dead blow hammer was too powerful for it. We found this plate, take it off, then this can tap out the front. There we go. A little noisy, I don't know if you can hear it. But I ordered a new bearing for it too. And that's what that other snap ring holds on. So we have to press this shaft through the bearing. And we'll get this cleaned up, and there is a seal here, which you can tell how somebody put that seal in. Let's see if I can show you. I've done it this way before, but I try to use a seal installer, but I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I'll try to zoom you in. See if basically when you take a punch and you just beat the heck out of the seal. It puts marks in the seal, but that's what they did. Used a punch of some kind. I'll try to use a seal installer. That's what I usually do. So like I was saying, roller bearings, they're needle bearings really, I guess these are called. You can get into changing those. They don't move a lot, so I usually just look at those and determine and pre-lubricate, of course, when going together. There's also going to be one here in the end plate. And then there's also a couple O-rings behind here, I believe. I'll take a look. And I'm going to get all this cleaned up, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, I got some internal components here cleaned up. I had taken this and flipped it over and just caught the edge of the wear ring, or the wash plate that rubs up against the rotating group. And it just fell right out. It's right here. So that sets down in there. Knocked it out. And then over here, going to pull this apart. There was a gasket and an O-ring here, and I'm going to count how many turns. We're going to set this back to where it's at. So I'm going to count how many turns. I'm going to mark it. All right. See here. Half says 1, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5. 6.5. So what we got is another O-ring here. There should be a spring in there. There's the spring. And there's the top of the spring. There's the little needle. So we're going to clean this out, and I'll bring you back. Alright, got all the components cleaned up. Got a new O-ring on here. Get some lube. Got a little bit of lube here. So then we'll drop that get this pin down in there. Just got to get it fished down in there. There we go. And that'll drop down in. Then we drop the top half that'll come in contact with that. Bottom of the ball. Put a little bit more lube in here. Just kind of not sure when this is going to get put on. Drop that spring. And kind of get this set back in here. Put some lube on this. And it was 6.5. So let's get this thing started here. So right there. So half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. So now we'll get this bearing pressed out. Well, we're going to press the shaft through the bearing. Want to make sure you catch the shaft. We do not want to hurt that. All right. And it has a place when you push this bearing on that it stops and sits against. So we're good there. That was a bad bearing. I'll go get the new bearing. All right, so now I use a socket that'll take on the diameter of this shaft when it gets pressed through. And I'll get this set up. And then so I don't push on the actual end of the shaft. Make sure we're all in place here. All right, now I'm going to double check before I put too much pressure on it that I got my socket in the right spot. All right, that's good. Good as new. And snap ring has a place to go. Bring you back to the other bench. So now I need to knock this seal out. All right. All right, so I got this seal. I'm gonna set it in. Just basically make sure it's the way you took it out. Slightly larger installer. There we go. Put a little bit on the shaft. clean finger and wipe. I don't know if I can really. Shouldn't need a real heavy tap here. Just kind of some slight tapping, but before I forget, I'm going to throw this snap ring on. This is for the bearing and the shaft. There we go. Spinning the shaft as we approach the seal. Now I need to get it up off of the ground. Let it hang off to the side here for a second. As you can see, fits in there. Spins. Gonna check the seal inside. Seal looks good. Now we will put the big snap ring on. Hang on. Let's see here. There we go. Snap ring is in, and sometimes I try to move the snap ring in the groove. Helps me check to make sure it's in. So now we got both snap rings, brand new bearing, new seal. All right. O-ring. O-ring. This is all nice and clean. We'll blow this off one more time. Top of that spring kind of nestles in that with the ball. And there's a little lube hole in there too. Gonna put some pre-lube these needle bearings. Alrighty. Put that at the top. Trying to make sure that seat gets in there. There it is. Get both of these started. All right, so now the O-rings are making contact. Gonna give them a light tap. All right, the shoulder, when that shoulder hits that needle bearing, it kind of centers everything up. All right, so those O-rings have been replaced. Let me clean these bolts off. Alrighty. All right. Those are torqued. Now I will lube and put that new plate in for the rotating assembly. So here's the old one. This is the new one. We'll put a little bit of lube here too. I'm not sure, but I don't think a little bit of lube here isn't going to hurt. So see, as this thing rocks, all those are moving. That changes depending on the angle of that swash plate. I can't explain it completely as I'm still learning myself, but that is the basic principle behind this. Now, how do I plan on doing this? Because I'd like to have it as flat as possible, so I'm going to push down on that. With something. No. Might try flipping this over here and doing it from the side. Because I don't want all this stuff to fall out. Alright, I'm going to push down, see if I can't straighten everything up. There we go. It has fallen down in where it needs to go. I can let up on that. And the new rotating assembly is in place. Okay, so then need to put some lube on this. Plenty. That goes down through here. Come around, a little bit more lube. A little shoulder. And the cup. A A little bit of lube here. And we will go ahead and get it put on. Couple dowels. All right, get these started. After this, the only thing left I'll do is change the O-rings on those two fittings. Oh, turd. Blocking me. All right, those are torqued. Bring you back over here. Got the gasket on, O-ring here. Get this to slide over. Start the screws. Whoops. That took a tiny piece of my glove. Get that out of there. Get those torqued down with the old human torque wrench. All right. So now what we'll do is I'll get those changed. So this will look like this. Change that. It's a harder durometer O-ring for straight thread O-ring instead of a Buna. We'll get that changed, and then also the I think I have another one right here to show you. Yeah. Sorry about that. The smaller fitting. And we'll change those, and we'll have a completed PVB 15 pump, or PVB 15. Sorry, I say that 10 times fast. And if you guys want to check this out on Andy Ohio MM's page, we're going to put this on the A4T and see if it works. That'll be a good test. So tune in, and I don't go through these fast. This is the first PVB 15 pump I've been through. It seemed pretty straightforward. There's a little bit more we could have done, but I think those needle bearings were just fine. So we will see. And only thing that was really wrong with this pump is it's just been sitting. I think it would have worked, had some water in there and some rust. I do think this is a good rotating group. But it was a good idea to go through this so we know what we have. Vickers pump, so we'll see how it goes. So as always, if you can hit that like and subscribe button, Thanks for being patient, and keep an eye out. Got plenty more videos to come. Catch you on the next one.